reaching new heights, breaking new ground. Follow their season from start to finish.
We did dominate that year. I mean, going out and setting all those records.
It was a once-in-a-lifetime team.
Be there as it happened. Meet after meet, records fall to these powerful girls from Frankenmuth.
Being called like the greatest track and field team in D3, like that's makes me feel like accomplished, like what I did, like was noticed.
Little Division III Frankenmuth takes out 12 Michigan Division I schools from across the state and still sets a record. Watch these girls make track and field history.
I think it's cool, like going to other track meets and hearing other coaches talk about us. And he just came up to me and he's like, I don't understand, like how do you guys do that? It's crazy.
Awarded the third highest score ever of any MHSAA State track tournament, and Frankenmuth becomes the first high school track team in Michigan history to win the Double Crown 3 times.
Because I don't think I've ever really realized what we all did.
It was incredible. Like I don't think I even like fully understand like how good we were.
It wasn't just about the individual. It was about being a part of something bigger than yourself that will last.
Witness the most dominating season ever in Michigan girls' high school track and field history. All because this team had something to prove. It was Wednesday, June 5th, 1991, when the Frankenmuth News headline read, Lady Eagles cop first FHS athletic title. The article went on to state, the state crown is the first in the school's history spanning over 35 years. The 1968 and 1969 FHS varsity football teams were excellent, but back then they were awarded mythical crowns. The Frankenmuth Lady Eagles were crowned the official 1991 Girls Class C State Track and Field champions. At that time, the Frankenmuth girls' head coach was Bruce Barber with assistant coach Diane Holmes. That team featured Coach Barber's daughter, Jenny Barber, and won the MHSAA State title with a score of 64 points versus second place Onstead with 52 points. Jenny Barber finished first in the 3,200-meter relay, running in the anchor position, second place in the 1,600-meter run, third place in the 800-meter run, and second place in the 3,200-meter run. It would be 18 long years before the Frankenmuth girls track and field team again claimed an MHSAA State title. The Frankenmuth girls' climb to the coveted Double Crown began in 2007 with a runner-up finish at the D3 MITCA Team State Tournament and a 9th place finish at the D3 MHSAA State Finals. Followed in 2008 with another runner-up finish at D3 MITCA Team State while moving up to a 3rd place finish at the D3 MHSAA State Finals, setting the stage for their first Double Crown dual title finish in 2009. It actually happened at the close of the 2009 Michigan track and field season that the Frankenmuth girls claimed Michigan high school track and field's first ever Double Crown in Division III, winning both the MITCA Team State title and the MHSAA State title in the same season. The first Division III girls team ever to do so. The 2010 season followed, and lightning indeed struck twice in Frankenmuth as the Lady Eagles became the only girls' high school track and field team in any division in Michigan history to repeat consecutively as Double Crown winners. Again, winning both the MITCA Team State title and the MHSAA State title in the same season 2 years in a row. The 2011 track and field season saw the Frankenmuth Lady Eagles finish 3rd at MITCA Team State, and by a single point, come in 2nd place at MHSAA State Finals. By any measure, another great season. The Frankenmuth girls' 2012 season began with an all-new girls track and field coaching staff, featuring new girls head coach Mike Snyder and assistant coach Rob Hayes, in their very first season coaching the now legendary Frankenmuth team.
I know they won 2 state championships before I got there. 2011, I think, I was runner-up at the state finals by 1 point, I believe. The year before, I think they were state champions, and I think they also won MITCA that year. So that's as high as you can go, as far as the state of Michigan goes. Walking into a program like that with some of those girls coming back was a challenge to at least, when you take a new job on, you're always worried about what are they going to think? Are they going to think that I'm up for the job, ready for them? Are they going to be good enough for them? But I just did what I did, and it seemed to work.
In the end, the Frankenmuth girls closed out an exceptional 2012 season with yet another trip to the MHSAA State title podium. Only 1 week after a strong second-place runner-up finish to Benzie Central at MITCA Team State. 2012 also saw the remaining members of the 2009-2010 back-to-back Double Crown champion teams graduate. The year was 2013. In the USA, summer had only just arrived in the state of Michigan. The Michigan High School outdoor track and field season had just ended for the 2013 year. The MHSAA State Track and Field Tournament, the last team event of the season, had just wrapped up. In the girls' Division III, the defending state champion Frankenmuth Lady Eagles was the favorite going in. After all, the Frankenmuth girls only a week earlier had won the MITCA Team State title. However, the girls officially finished up their 2013 season with a very disappointing fourth-place finish at MHSAA Division III State Finals. The girls' D3 MHSAA Finals were instead won by the outstanding team from Pewamo, Westphalia. The MHSAA, Michigan High School Athletic Association, recognizes 4 divisions in track and field, known as Divisions 1, 2, 3, and 4. Each is based on school enrollment for that year. Division 1, or D1, is for the largest schools, and Division 4, or D4, is for the smallest schools. This is to provide for a level playing field within each of those divisions. In the days after the MHSAA State Finals meet, the Frankenmuth girls were met by a lot of questions from their families, friends, schoolmates, and the community, but especially from themselves.
A lot of things just happened that day that don't normally happen when you're talking about the Frankenmuth track team. I think we're a little intimidated. We came in there and we were the reigning champions, and people were looking out for us, and I don't think we were watching our backs enough.
It was disappointing when we ended up 4th, did we end up? And you could tell everybody was disappointed. You could tell the community, you got home and everybody was like, you guys ended up in 4th? Weren't you supposed to come out in 1st? And it's just, after that season, it did motivate me to do better next season. Seeing everybody disappointed, it's not something I'm used to too. And so, it's not a good feeling.
All had hoped, and to a certain extent expected, that again, given a good team performance, the MHSAA State title would remain in Frankenmuth for the second consecutive year. Their expectations seemed reasonable. Earlier in the 2013 season, the Frankenmuth girls participated in their first ever Bay City Western Invitational, a meet dominated by the 11 Division I teams. The Frankenmuth girls turned in a surprising second-place finish among the 16-team field. The meet was won by the Division I Granville team. Since 2009, annual MHSAA state titles had become a Frankenmuth girls track and field tradition, and the members of the 2013 team expected to continue that tradition. As the team's 2014 outdoor track and field season approached, the team, and especially the seniors, were full of determination that they had something to prove.
That could be a title for the documentary, Something to Prove.
And for the seniors, the 2014 season would be their last remaining chance to make their mark. In order for results to improve substantially for the 2014 season, it's critical that early season performances be similar to the marks achieved at the end of 2013. During the long Michigan winter months, following the end of the cross-country season, there is the MITS, or Michigan Indoor Track Series. What is MITS? MITS is a group of volunteers whose main purpose is to host an indoor state championship for high school track and to promote the sport here in Michigan during the winter months. Athletes compete as individuals or as club teams and are not recognized by divisions, nor are they identified with their schools. They wear no uniforms, only workout clothing at the meets. Colleges and universities around the state host meets that are used as qualifying events for the MITS state meet. MITS participation can be crucial for athletes to monitor and improve their conditioning and preparation through the winter months when organized practices are forbidden by MHSAA rules. For 2014, MHSAA rules allow practices for spring sports to begin in early March for the 17 track and field events. With the first meet scheduled for April 9th, that's nowhere near enough time to get each athlete into condition, much less improve over the previous year's marks.
But coming up into our first part of the season, we have like 4 weeks before our first meet, and that's really not a long time to get in shape or get ready to do track, 17 events.
Therefore, success depends on the high degree of motivation of the coaching staff and team members willing to do whatever it takes during the off-season. This is the moment when senior leadership shapes the team's attitude the most. Practices are cold, wet, and dreary in the early part of the season, and quite often the practice area is covered in snow. The coaches have their hands full orienting freshman team members and preparing practices and workouts, so the seniors are needed to take up the slack in every area and to motivate fellow team members as well as each other through the harsh conditions.
But coming into that, we had a couple girls that were already going to be out. Larry Hammond was going to be out because of an injury, and Emily Sievert was going to be out because she found out she was having a hard time in the winter, but she found out she had mono. She normally would be one of our top distance runners in the 1600 and the 3200, and then the 4x8 relay. Because she couldn't run those, that was going to affect our team greatly, because it's hard to get in a small team, hard to get 4 runners that can run an 800 in decent time to get a 4x8 going. Carly, she was an indoor practice. We wanted to try her in the 300 hurdle. She wanted to try it, actually. And unfortunately, what happened in one of her practice sessions, she came down with her heel on the top of the hurdle, and I think it was bruised pretty bad. That hurt us because she was not going to be our top 800 runner, along with Emily with the 4x8. So we had a couple big runners that were not going to be part of our team right away. With 2 out, hoping they're going to come back by mid-season, that's all we can hope for at this point.
Once the season begins and the competitions have begun, the results of the off-season preparations will show almost immediately. So the question on everyone's mind is, can the 2014 team pick up where it left off at the end of the 2013 season?
First meet that we go to is a Tri-Valley Conference crossover, we call it, because it's not part of our league, but it's still part of the Tri-Valley Conference. St. Louis and Chesney and Frankenmuth, so it's a tri-meet, 3 schools. The kids need some competition, and that's why we go to this first meet. It's not to look at the win or anything like that. It was just to get the kids in the events that they're going to try, see how they do, get some benchmarks set so they can improve from there. The way we plan our season is we look at our championship season first, which includes our MHSAA Michigan High School Athletic Association meet, which is our final meet of the year. And then our MITCA, our Michigan Interscholastic Track Coach Association meet, which is our team state. Track and field has 2 state meets at the end of the season. And then we look at regionals. So looking at those 3 major meets, we work back from that as far as how our workouts are going to come. Where do we want to put the girls in which events to see how they're going to end up in those meets at the end of the year? We go from there. And the first part of the season is for our upper class ladies, like our juniors and seniors. We've seen them run before. We know what they can do. They're getting their benchmark to say, okay, how did I start out this year compared to how I ended last year? So that's why we use this meet. For our newer runners, freshmen and sophomores, it's basically saying, where do I fit into this team? especially this team, which is we know is going to be a good team after we saw the results of this meet. Many personal records were set at this very first meet of the season. A lot of the girls were very close to making the mark where they ended last season, and they're starting this season with them, which is what Coach Hayes and I look forward to every year. So this was a good year to say this is going to be a good team.
A week later, on Wednesday, April 16, 2014, the Frankenmuth track and field teams traveled to Caro, Michigan for their second meet of the season. This dual meet features Caro and Frankenmuth and is the first of 3 TVC East League meets of 2014. Here's Coach Snyder to explain the significance of this first TVC East meet.
This first TVC East meet was our first one that was part of our actual league. We determined league championship is close to the end of the season, and we have 3 TVC East meets, like dual meets or tri-meets with other schools within our league. And whoever wins each one of those gets so many points toward that league championship. And then at the end, near the end of the season, the whole TVC East League comes together for one big meet, and the winner of that one gets so many points also, and together they add all up, and that determines the championship of the league, actually. And since the TVC East has been followed and there's history behind it, Frankenmuth has always won it.
The coaching staff, along with Angie Ritter, made a decision at this second meet of the 2014 season that will have far-reaching implications for not only the Frankenmuth girls, but for Michigan track and field history and beyond.
Angie Ritter, that was her meet that she tried the 100 because she wanted to get her sister Kelsey's record, her school record. So Angie, that was the first time she ran the 100 for us this year, and the result of that, she's going to run it some more. Because she won. She won big time. She was really close to Kelsey's record.
For Frankenmuth, the results of the season's second meet, the first league meet of the 2014 season, are impressive. The girls win by a large margin as attention turns to the very next day on the calendar, the annual Marcet Invitational hosted by Frankenmuth, with an impressive list of schools entered this year. Less than 24 hours after their first TVC East League meet of the season, the Frankenmuth girls faced their first big challenge of 2014. Frankenmuth's home meet, the annual Marcet Invitational, featuring 6 of the area's top Division I teams as well as Pewamo, Westphalia, the defending Division III MHSAA State champions.
This was a unique situation because what happened here this week was we had our TVC East meet with Caro, and then the next day we had our home invitational, which we have a lot of Division I, Division II schools come. That was a big meet that we wanted to be fairly fresh for because we wanted to see where our girls stood against Pewamo, Westphalia, plus all the other Division I and II schools that are coming. That's the main reason we go to invitationals, because of the competition is much wider. We have some heavy hitters that come to the meet, and that's why we invite them. We had 6 Division I schools come. Places like Saginaw Heritage, Bay City Western, Bay City Central, Midland, Dow, Flushing, Mount Pleasant. Those are schools that you hear about all the time. And in 2014, that's exactly what our team needed. They needed to be pushed, and they needed to understand that they can compete with girls that are from Division I schools that go against girls at their level all the time, every day. And they came through. Seeing that Pewamo, Westphalia captured the meet with 102 points, and we were at 90 points, second place. To Coach Hayes and I, we felt pretty good because we had two of our top runners, Carly and Emily, that didn't compete because they were still hurt or sick. Plus our 4x2 relay team, only time it happened was disqualified because of a false start. We were seeded first at that meet, so that was 10 points. I'm sure we would have took the 10 points there. And when they knew that we would have got 10 points, they would have just got 8 instead. That would have tied us. But then with Emily and Carly, if they were in the mix, we would have won that meet, on top of the Division I schools that were there still.
Additionally, Frankenmuth's Angie Ritter reached a major milestone at this meet, only the team's third meet of the young 2014 season.
Angie, at this point in the season, already qualified and met the state standards in the 100, the 200, the 400, the 4x2 relay, the 4x4 relay, and the high jump. So it's basically whatever event we put Angie in, she's just that type of athlete.
Here I go again, believing real things happen. Skinny when you think I won't make it past pretend, don't question it. Here I go again. Not making excuses. I'm standing tall and living loud. Getting to know what's out there. Bracing myself on a dare, no doubt.
Okay, a week after the Marcet meet, we had another home meet, and it was our TVC East meet with LakeVille and Birch Run. It's our second Tri-Valley Conference East meet that goes toward our league championship. This is a little bit different meet because there's 3 schools involved, but we score against each school. For example, Frankenmuth and LakeVille against Frankenmuth and Birch Run, and Birch Run against LakeVille. They're called dual meets. We run against LakeVille separately as far as points go, and we run against Birch Run separately, and then LakeVille and Birch Run are scored against each other. So that's how the tri-meets are scored in like a TVC conference. The girls, as a team, set over 50 personal records this meet. And that's exactly what Coach Hayes and I were looking for to say, where are we going? One of those examples is Stephanie Lambeth, our pole vaulter. She's one of the hardest workers we have on the team. Her outside of track life is very busy. She's a gymnast. She does that in her spare time, I'll call it, but it's really full time. Stephanie, our best pole vaulter, actually broke the school record that she tied last year at 10 foot. At this meet, she went 10.6, and 6 more inches over the school record in pole vault is awesome. Looking at Stephanie and her work ethic, she has a coach that she works with, I think one of the best pole vault coaches in Michigan. She sought him out. She drives probably 1 hour one way just to go work with him. And Stephanie also works with Coach Drake, our boys coach. We share events, boys and girls, as we specialize in each one, and Coach Drake's helped her with the pole vault also. This isn't the only time she's going to set the school record, we know that. Another thing that Coach Hayes and I were really happy with is Larry Hammond was back. Carly did very well in the 800. She won the 800 on that meet with a respectable time for where she was coming into the season. Carly's such a well-rounded athlete that she's going to help us in the 4x4, the 800, the 4x8, whatever event she is, mid-distance wise. To help understand how dominant our 2014 team was within our league, and our league is strong, Frankenmuth had 98 points to LakeVille's 39, and Frankenmuth 102, and Birch Run 34 points. That point spread is a very big deal, especially when the other teams are fairly strong in themselves.
It's my moment, every moment. You can always count me in. My forever is right now, and I'm not ever giving in.
Welcome to the Clare Invitational, held at the Brookwood Athletic Facility in Clare, Michigan. This year consisting of 16 Division II, III, and IV teams from across the state of Michigan.
Honestly, haven't been pushed a lot overall as a whole team, and we think meets like Clare and the teams that go to Clare, I think there's 16 teams in this meet. They're going to bring some competition to our girls, and that's exactly what they need at this point in the season. And it's going to be a good checkpoint with our Division III type school, because there's a lot of Division III schools there, which is what we need to see.
There is an amazing transformation taking place with this team. Across the sport of track and field, it's rare for a team to develop a team identity where the individual athletes begin to morph into a single entity as a team. But as the season progresses, we are watching it happen right before our eyes. It is a sense of belonging to something bigger than the individual members of the group. They seem to be going beyond the need to simply defeat the competition or to just winning the meet. They are focusing instead on bettering themselves as athletes while having the maturity to understand that their only genuine competition exists within their own expectations. This change is visible at team and individual practices and all the way through the track meets. And as the season progresses, it continues to gain momentum. Pushing the envelope, setting a higher bar, and breaking records is becoming a higher priority than winning to this team.
One of the records that were set at this meet was a 100-meter hurdle record by Sydney Bronner. She ran a very good race, and that was the first indication that we knew that she was on her way to breaking the school record of Emily Wee, who was a runner at University of Michigan.
Of the 3 meet records broken today by the Frankenmuth girls, 2 were relays. The girls made history by setting new Clare Invitational records in both the 4x100 meter and 4x200 meter relays.
For the 4x1, 4x2, they're really starting to gel together, and that's where 2 of the invitational records were set in those 2 relays. Our relays are very important, especially in the MHSAA and the MITCA team state meets. One of the things that we said, this was a surprise to us. They won the meet by big margin, and they set 3 invitational records, 4x1, 4x2, and the 100-meter hurdles.
It's Wednesday, April 30th, 2014, and the Frankenmuth teams have traveled to Essexville Garber High School for another TVC East League meet, featuring Garber, Frankenmuth, and Millington.
Our next meet was TVC East meet with Garber and Millington, and it's another one of those meets that we use for determining the league championship. Garber came a little bit closer than what we thought. Garber's a Division II school, but still within our conference. And as Frankenmuth being Division III, they were within 22 points of us. Some of the things that we wanted to focus on this meet was getting Angie into the 4x1 relay. Sarah Buell, our number 2 sprinter behind Angie, was hurt. She was having tight quad muscles, and we needed to rest her because we needed her at the end of the year. She'd be a number 1 sprinter in most any other team in the area. But because Angie's on our team, they're a number 1 and number 2 punch. Sarah took a break on this 4x1, put Angie in. She was going to probably run this meet and maybe one other meet to see if they could break a 38-year-old school record in the 4x1. One of the other things we wanted to see in this meet was how Carly was doing. She was coming off that heel injury, so we put her in the open 400 just to see what her time was coming into, and she ended up being one of the fastest girls on the team, just right behind Angie. Carly also ran the 800 that meet. Coach Hayes and I think that Carly's on her way back, and she's going to get back on that team for the 4x4. Another bright spot for Coach Hayes and I was that Emily Siebert was back. We're midway through the season. We know Emily's primary goal this season is to qualify for the MHSAA State Finals at the end of the year. She wanted to qualify in the 3,200 meters. We put her in the 1,600 meters just to see where she was at. She came through with just 7 seconds away from her personal record. So we knew that Emily was back with a vengeance, and she was going to continue because her work ethic is so strong. It's awesome to see girls like that, and a lot of the girls on our team are just like Emily. They're working hard for a goal at the end of the season. One of the examples of true team that we see is when Emily first came back, which was this race, the 1,600. She was running 4 laps around the track. All the girls were up screaming for Emily to keep on going. It was showing how excited they were for Emily to be back because they knew that she was back. That inspiration just carried through the rest of the season. Our Our next big meet, we consider it one of the bigger meets of our season, getting ready for the MHSAA State Finals, was the Bay City Western Invitational. It's the second year that we've been invited to it. Last year, 2013, we entered it thinking that if we could place in the middle of these 12 Division I schools and 3 Division II schools, that we'd be doing awesome. Last year, we were runner-up.
The 2014 edition of the Bay City Western Invitational was top-loaded, with 12 Division I teams eager to test themselves against other D1 teams from as far north as Alpena, and as far west as Grand Rapids, and as far south as the Detroit metro area.
They draw schools from all over the state, from as far north as Traverse City to as far south as, southern Detroit. It's a big area, a lot of big schools, 12 Division I schools in this meet. We're Division III school coming in just to have the competition. Our girls needed that this year. They just need the competition that comes from these big schools.
The Frankenmuth girls were indeed facing a David and Goliath matchup. And for a team that was determined to not only win against all odds, but to set new records, this was going to be their biggest challenge so far.
Our team set 2 invitational records, which our Sydney Bronner ran the 100 hurdles in 15.6, and that set an invitational record. One of the records that were set at the Bay City Western Invitational was a 4x2 relay, and that was led off by Sydney Bronner, handed off to Katie Palmrider, who handed off to Lauren Woodard, who was actually filling in for Sarah Bula, who was injured and was sitting out so she could get better for regionals. And then Lauren handed off to Angie Ritter. And I think it struck that the 2014 team was truly a special team, especially when you have people like Lauren Woodard who could fill in for our second fastest sprinter on the team after Angie, and they could still pull that off. We have a deep team. That's a great feeling.
There were some really good Division I and II teams there. That was when I just realized that this is really unique, and this might not come around for 50 years.
Even winning that meet with all those schools there, it was like, honestly, it was, are we really here? Did we just really win this meet? With that so many big names there.
Standing here in the now, just thinking of how we've come so far to be where we are. And from today till the end, we try to figure out when we will really leave our mark.
Our next meet was Wednesday, May 7th, and that was the last of our TVC meets. It was with Bridgeport and North Branch at home, so it was at Frankenmuth. We're more than halfway through the season now, getting ready for championship season.
Today, the weather here in Frankenmuth is miserable. It's very cold, very windy with the constant threat of rain. Assistant coach Rob Hayes talks about the Frankenmuth girls team's attitude about the weather.
We had some freshmen who were essentially complaining about the weather and how they didn't want to run that day. And Carly, who had been with me for 3 full years, knew what I felt. I said, we do not talk about the weather. That is for other teams to worry about. And Carly just looked at me and she just immediately pulled those 2 freshmen aside and she said, we do not talk about the weather in Frankenmuth. That is for other teams to talk about. We go out and win. And she walked away. And those girls never complained about the weather again. I think it was more effective being delivered by a senior runner than it would have been coming from me.
Part of this meet, we're doing some things that we wanted to do, get people ready, like Carly, getting her ready for a good 800 because that's her top event. Put her in the 200 to get some points in the 200 because Sarah's not in there, but that's going to help her with her speed. The 400, she's our second fastest runner on the team for the 400 right now, and the 4x4. She's back on the 4x4 because she earned that spot back. And then, of course, her 800 that she's in. So she's in 4 events, too. And also leading up to MITCA, also where we're going to load her up.
Senior Sierra Richardson from Bridgeport is running in today's meet. Sierra is Angie Ritter's top rival in the state in both the 200 and 400 meter runs.
Sierra Richardson from Bridgeport. She's a senior, and so is Angie. They're always battling out every meet they go to. Sierra beat Angie by 6/100ths of a second this meet. So Angie, the first time she lost this year in the 200, I think that's probably going to be the last time she wants to lose in the 200 this year, especially when she meets back up with Sierra in the MHSAA State Finals. Coach Hayes and I like the results of this meet because the girls won 12 of the 17 events.
Not making excuses. I'm standing tall and living loud. Getting to know what's out there. Racing myself on a dare, no doubt.
It's Friday, May 9th, 2014, and we're in Bad Axe, Michigan with the Frankenmuth High School track and field teams to compete in the Hatchet Invitational.
The main reason we go to Bad Axe is because the next week we're going to be there for the regional meet. So we wanted to take our kids there to be at that site, just to be ready for it. There's 18 teams at this meet, mini Division III, which is what we're competing in, and it's going to be another benchmark to say how we're doing. Stephanie was incredible in this meet. Because of the rain and everything else, for pole vaulters, that's hard to even grasp a pole, but she went 11 foot at this meet. That broke the school record that she set previously, and it also broke the meet record at Bad Axe. At this meet, she was the second highest vault of the day, including the boys. And that's why people come and watch her. She's an incredible jumper.
With the regional meet only a week away, the Frankenmuth girls were determined to make one more attempt at a 38-year-old school relay record. So Angie Ritter traded places with Stephanie Lambeth today, with Stephanie taking Angie's place in the 100-meter sprint and Angie taking Stephanie's place in the 4x100-meter relay for one final attempt at the 38-year-old record.
The challenge with Stephanie is she's pole vaulting at the same time. So she had to go back and forth between prelims, which she had to run the 100 in the prelims, which she did, and she qualified for the finals. So she had to go from that back to pole vault, back to the finals. Then she went back to the pole vault and did her school record. One of the things the girls are starting to do this year is starting to look at school records, meet records, state records to see how they fit in there. The relay teams play an important role in meets. Our 4x2 is one of the strongest in the states, actually. They haven't lost at all yet this year. In 2012, the last time the FHS girls won MHSAA State Championship, they actually had the record here for the meet. And that included Sydney, who's on the current team, Angie, who's on the current team, Emily Wee, who went and is running at U of M, and Olivia Shelton, who was running at CMU. So it was a good relay team back then, and that's the record that they broke today. Now they're only less than 1 second away from the school record too. The next event, much anticipated 4x1 relay. We were gonna have Angie run this race because the team wanted to have the 4 fastest runners on our team run that and see if they could break a 38-year-old school record. As the record that was set in 1976 of 50.6, and it was converted from yards to metrics because that's how old it was. They were excited about this. Stephanie, who has been running the 4x1, is doing a really good job on it. She understands she's like the 5th fastest sprinter on our team, which is saying a lot when you have an Angie and a Sarah running. When this race started, pretty much everyone stopped from the Frankenmuth tent because they knew what was going on, and they all got along the fence and started watching the 4x1. I was up in the stands with a video camera and my stopwatch just to see how they were going to do because I think they were going to do it. The gun was up for the 4x1 and Becca was in the blocks. Gun went off. She had a great start. Her first 100, she was holding her own, coming around that first curve, coming right up to Katie. She gets down like she's in starting blocks too, and puts her hand back. Becca hit the mark. Katie was off. It was exciting because we were right there. 4x100 races, just one lap around the track, and it's so fast. The handoff between Sarah and Angie, everyone was going crazy. You could hear the crowd, you could hear our team. I couldn't really take pictures anymore. When Angie got the baton, she just took off. No one was going to catch her, and she was just making that gap wider. When she crossed the line, I had a hand time of 49 some seconds, and the record was 50.6. But we know hand time's a little bit slower than when you do fully automatic timing, which they had at Bad Axe. So now we had to wait. We didn't know if they got the record or not. We think they probably did. So when the girls started coming off the track, we said, we had hand time 49, so that got them excited. They started announcing the 4x1 results. Second place, 52 seconds. Did Angie win by 30 meters? Because that's what she had to do to get 3 seconds off. And then when they announced the 49.57, the girls went crazy. We went crazy. That was a 38-year record they just broke. That was very inspirational. That kind of was another thing that fired up the team to keep moving on. Now that the meet was called off because of the weather, the girls were so excited that they won the meet. They stuck around to get their trophy because they knew that it was a big meet, getting ready for the regionals, which were next week. The girls are pumped and ready to go.
Every moment you can always count me in. My forever is right now, and I'm
On Wednesday, May 13, 2014, the Frankenmuth Track and Field teams are traveling to Nouvel Catholic Central in Saginaw to compete in a quad meet.
The next meet on our schedule is the Nouvel quad meet. Nouvel's there, Bullock Creek is there, and Michigan Lutheran Seminary are the teams that Frankenmuth competes against there. So tune up some things, getting ready for regionals.
Stephanie Lambeth once again grabs the spotlight, twice. She first reaches 11 feet 4 inches in the pole vault to break her own school record of 11 feet set the week before. Then breaks her own record again with a vault of 11 feet 6 inches for another new all-time Frankenmuth Girls pole vault school record. Stephanie also wins the long jump and is a member of Frankenmuth's first place 4x100 meter relay squad. Junior Sydney Bronner leads the Frankenmuth Lady Eagles with 4 first-place finishes. Sydney wins the 100-meter hurdles in a personal record time of 15.34 seconds, just 0.02 of a second from the school record, which Emily Weiss set in 2012. Additionally, Sydney finishes first in the 300-meter hurdles, the 4x200-meter relay, and the high jump. Junior Sarah Beulah wins the 200-meter sprint and is second in the 100-meter sprint to winner Angie Ritter. Additionally, Sarah is a member of the first-place 4x100 and 4x200-meter relay squads. Sarah could easily be the top sprinter on many other teams in Michigan. Larry Hammond adds a win in the 800 meters, along with again being the leadoff runner for Frankenmuth's winning 4x400-meter relay squad. Carly also sets a personal record in the 200-meter sprint. She has been running some sprint races to build some muscle mass, hoping to improve her 800 and 400-meter times. Junior thrower Sarah Jansen wins the shot put with a toss of 33 feet 8.5 inches, close to her personal best. Additionally, sophomore Carrie Fromm brings home another first place in the discus with a personal record toss of 111 feet 11 inches, a foot over her previous best.
The girls won 15 out of 17 of the events, first place. We set one school record in the pole vault. Stephanie did. They did really well.
Next, the championship series begins with regionals, and these Frankenmuth ladies are on a mission. Every member of the team is exceeding expectations week after week. They indeed have something to prove.